On January 6th, 2020, I stood before a packed City Hall auditorium for our inaugural ceremonies. Looking back, none of us could have ever predicted what 2020 would bring to our state, our country, our city. But one thing I could have told you is, no matter what happened, Leominster would be ready. First, let's take a moment to remember those men and women serving our country. This past year has been especially hard for those who are serving far away from their loved ones. Let's also remember those that we lost this year. Each one holds a special place in our hearts and will always be part of our community. In December 2019, just as we have done in the past years, the City of Leominster Emergency Management took part in a training exercise to prepare for different emergencies in the city. Some past trainings have included oil tankers and accidents and hazardous material leaks, tornadoes, hurricanes, and just about every other scenario one could ever imagine. Since we'd already looked at the effects of the 1918 pandemic in our area, we decided to focus our 2019 training exercises on a pandemic. Little did we know what we would be facing just 4 months later. In March 2020, within minutes of learning of the gravity of COVID-19, Emergency Management Director Jim LeBlanc sent over Leominster's up-to-date plan on responding to the pandemic. As we look back at the training exercise and the plan, it's remarkable to see how the success of that training translated into positioning the city to be in the best possible situation it could be. Being prepared has always been our mission statement. Our plan included a massive information outreach program, as well as details on how we would test thousands of people and how we would provide the vaccine, and it proved successful. This week, we have reached the milestone of 60% with at least one shot here in the city of Leominster. This success has been highlighted throughout the past few months as Leominster has been featured in state and federal training best practices guidance for other communities to learn from. Thanks to our planning and our investment in technology over the past 10 years, we were fully prepared for the city government to operate even away from our desks. As city employees worked to organize our response for COVID-19, we were able to operate on laptops and mobile devices from emergency management, the testing tent, vaccine clinics, and pretty much anywhere. Protected virtual servers, phone systems that forwarded calls to cell phones, and information on the cloud that can be accessed from anywhere ensures that Leominster's local government can operate during any emergency from any location. As we started to pull departments together and roll out the plan, the outreach from the community was amazing and truly moving. Within hours, Dr. McDowell, a local dentist, had called and scheduled a delivery. The delivery came from all of the local dentists in the area who had donated all of their PPE supplies since they were unable to use them. Emergency management volunteer Dan Thibodeau and his employer, O'Connor Corporation of Canton, donated 50,000 PPEs, including Tyvek suits, gloves, goggles, face shields, and respirators for the Leominster and Fitchburg Fire and Police. We were able to share those with nursing homes. We were able to share those with healthcare facilities and beyond. When masks were in short supply to residents and businesses, city staff and volunteers gave out masks in front of City Hall in all types of weather. Kim and Russ at Infinite Design brought used computers back to life again and got them in the hands of students who didn't have a computer at their home. As teachers and students went remote, teachers used all of their creative resources to bring their classrooms to life over the internet, something they were never trained for, but successfully accomplished. My friend and his wife called me on the phone. They made a substantial donation because they wanted to make sure that we could buy electronic devices for our children so they could continue to learn from home. They made a substantial donation, and on the way back to City Hall, I received a phone call. It was his wife. She said, "We didn't donate enough," and upped the donation by another $5,000. Just a couple of days later, another family, who remain anonymous, read the article in the newspaper about how generous people in this community were. They made a substantial donation so that we could purchase, again, electronic devices so that children could continue to learn from home. The city spent nearly $1 million in funds to purchase not just Chromebooks, but the software to make remote learning a success. We bought hotspots and partnered with Comcast to ensure that every family in our city had internet access. Our private and industrial partners were incredible. As an example of one, AIS immediately kicked into action and set up a whole line of people to produce masks for us. Companies like New England Wire and MassCon Medical donated thousands of PPEs. Mike Cupo and his wife, Maria, had generously donated bagels to all city workers as they continued to work nonstop through the pandemic. And these are just some of the people and businesses that were part of the outpouring of support. We never missed a beat. Our team in city government just kept moving. We did whatever had to be done. We met people at their homes. We delivered things, mailed things, met people in the parking lot, all the while most other city governments were closed. At the same time, we didn't fall back on any of our regular work. Grants continued to be written. We had no delay in our projects. We continued to plow. Teachers went above and beyond by even bringing work to kids' houses. And all aspects of government continued to move forward. It really was a team effort from every single person that works for the city. Then there was a tremendous effort by our volunteers at emergency management who manned emergency management 24/7 for 3 months and delivered 250,000 meals to kids to make sure they continued to get proper nutrition during remote learning. They have logged a staggering 11,500 hours of volunteer time during the pandemic. Absolutely incredible. We fielded hundreds of calls from working and non-working parents whose kids were having a hard time with remote learning. In an amazing partnership, we provided funds through the CARES Act to open the Boys and Girls Club to make sure no student fell behind. And then, of course, our volunteers delivered lunches right to the club. Our businesses turned on a dime, offering curbside service, outdoor dining, and online ordering. And everybody that frequented our local businesses helped contribute to a strong Leominster economy where other communities continued to suffer. For its part, the city was able to work on outside dining plans, reopening plans, and provide 75 businesses with grants to help them make it through the pandemic. To make sure our nonprofit partners in our community remain strong, we awarded a portion of our federal funding to Ginny's Helping Hand, Spanish American Center, and Catholic Charities to help them to continue their work in addressing food security challenges in our community. Thanks to their tireless dedication to reaching every person in need, along with the help of our churches, no, not one person come to our office in need of food during the entire pandemic. Our police and fire departments constantly responded to the unknown, not knowing the health conditions of those asking for help or what they were about to be exposed to. But they still responded to every single call because people needed them during this most vulnerable time. It was hospital staff that oftentimes spent those final moments with people's loved ones because families couldn't be there, oftentimes praying with them, holding their hand for those final moments. So many people got sick from COVID, and there were so many unknowns at the beginning. So many people fought for their lives, and some didn't make it. Even though people in Leominster couldn't go to funeral services, they grieved with the families however they could. Complete strangers reached out to those who lost loved ones. What a struggle and a challenge it must have been for them. Their community did what it does best and wrapped their arms around those families. We knew we had to keep people's spirits up. As human beings, we have a desire to engage. We use social media and local access television and radio to provide information and hopefully provided even a little entertainment from time to time. I hope that some of my 300+ updates have been helpful to you as they were to us in a way for us to be able to communicate and to help in the community. We put our heads together to come up with activities we could still have while following the CDC guidelines. We hope the fire department's Santa parades the Festival of Trees, Letters to Santa, Santa on the Inside Leominster Show, the coffee crawl and the pizza crawl brought hope and a sense of normalcy in a not-so-normal time. Just think, even during something as horrific as a tornado or a hurricane, it goes through and then you rebuild. This took over a year, and we're just now starting to get through it. We've learned some incredible lessons, though. Most importantly, we've learned what's most important, and we can't lose that going forward. As my comments focus on the future, we need to remember and to incorporate the lessons over the past 15 months as we move forward. As we always do, prior to and during pandemic, we planned for a whole slate of projects for 2020 and 2021 as we dealt with COVID. Those projects continue on with no interruption. Our police station project has seen an incredible amount of progress. We hired a project management team and a project architect, and we have continued to move the project forward. We cleared the site, including demolition of the buildings, addressed environmental issues, and purchased an adjacent property for emergency access to and from the site. Our building committee is made up of police department representatives, neighbors, experienced developers, municipal officials, and members of the general public. The team has put countless hours in making sure that this station not only will be a station that serves the needs of the department for years to come, but is a building reflective of our city. The final design is wrapping up, and we'll be ready to put the project out to bid in the next couple of months. Last year, we saw the completion of the Mechanic Street Park at the corner of Mechanic and Laurel Streets. The park is a beautiful 3-acre property that provides open space to the east side where none existed for almost 50 years. It is a $1.6 million investment, with the state paying 70% of those costs. With 2 playgrounds, a splash park, and a huge green space, it will be a place for families to enjoy for years to come. In another strong partnership, the Mayor's Office, the Recreation Department, and the Friends of Frankie Fortuna have secured nearly $400,000 to build a new skate park at the corner of Johnson and Viscaloid Ave. I've never seen such a more energized group, and the city is lucky to have them. Our paving and sidewalk projects continued on. Streets like Merriam Ave saw the next section of underground infrastructure completed and paving underway. We completed my commitment to improve the front entries of every school in the district with a $500,000 investment for the new ADA-compliant ramps and entrance improvements. Our economic development team continues to work with businesses to meet their every need. Even through these difficult times, Leominster continued to see the opening of small businesses across the city. Both downtown and across our city, new business owners have placed their faith in Leominster that this is where they should be. I am so happy that new businesses have chosen Leominster as their home and that existing businesses have still been able to succeed. In 2020, Leominster also became a MVP community through the state's Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, a very important program. Through one of the most comprehensive and community-based processes any MVP community has ever had, we were able to prepare an environmental plan complete with priority projects to address climate change through infrastructure projects in the city for years to come. The financial stability of Leominster remains strong, incredibly strong. Throughout 2020, we were able to successfully manage millions of federal dollars that came into the community, and FEMA, Federal Emergency Management reimbursements, which meant little impact to the city in terms of pandemic expenses. In 2019, the city became the first municipality in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to fully fund its pension system. As I promised, we weren't going to kick the can down the road. We weren't going to saddle our kids and grandkids with debt. It was all accomplished thanks to years of strong financial management and with your support. For example, we paid off Skyview School in 10 years, not 20. What did we save for the taxpayers? $2.3 million. We have paid cash for millions and millions of capital projects, including vehicle purchases to keep our safety vehicles up to date, new phone systems for our city and school departments. And our bond rating is high, which means that when we borrow money, it's below or at 1%. For example, the Leominster High School renovation project came in just at about 1%. This will benefit our city once again as we look to major projects such as our new police station and the athletic fields behind the high school. And as last year's projects were completed, we're already planning for new ones. Within the next few weeks, the front of the Woodblock building will have a whole new look thanks to a state park grant. The MVP program that I spoke to just a minute ago has allowed the city to develop a plan for repair and possible expansion of the Moose-Knock Brook downtown. Twin Cities Trail development will continue this year to connect downtown Fitchburg to downtown Leominster. Thanks to federal FEMA grants, federal emergency management grants, the city will be moving forward with the repair of the bank of the Nashua River near the city's treatment plant, improving the stability of both the river, the infrastructure, the roadway, and the treatment plant. Route 12 near the hospital will begin to see its upgrades this year, and improvements to Route 12 south towards Sterling will continue into the final design stages. And of course, after years of planning and working with the businesses in the state, a $6 million improvement plan is underway on Route 13 and will be completed this year. This year, we'll see huge investment improvements connecting North Leominster and downtown. For a number of years, we have been investing in sidewalks from the Leominster and Lunenburg line, sidewalks, sewer and water lines, and paving on the Water Street areas and the downtown areas as well. This year, thanks to a $2.4 million state MasterWorks grant, we will be improving sidewalks, underground infrastructure, and paving improvements to the entire mall area from the State Police Barracks to Mill Street and Whitney Streets. These upgrades will be critical in helping neighborhoods around the mall, as well as independent building owners, to attract new businesses to the area. The project will directly connect to the Route 13 improvements. With these final projects, we will have completed infrastructure improvements to a significant section of Leominster. This year, we will be pursuing another space needs study for our school district. When I first ran for office, our schools were overcrowded and solutions were needed. Our previous school needs studies allowed us to successfully build Skyview, Samoset, the addition and expansion and renovation of Samoset School, and manage our schools for 20 years. With an increasing population and changing educational needs, now is the time to conduct another school needs study to ensure that we can meet the needs of every student for the next 2 decades. In 2021, we will continue to embrace the life sciences and expand opportunities for our students and businesses. The Mayor's Youth Council will continue to meet and implement their exciting initiatives to improve and enhance not just their education, but their total experience in their hometown. Since June of 2020, thanks to federal, state, and local dollars, the schools have received an additional $13 million. Funds will be coming shortly from the federal government, making the total infusion of funds during the past year to the Leominster school system in the tune of $24 million. As our pandemic ends, $5 million will be dedicated to the reopening of our schools, including measuring the learning loss and addressing the mental health of our children. You have my commitment that I will work with the superintendent and the school committee to make sure this money is spent in the classroom and to make sure their every need is met. Our ability to build strong relationships have been and continues to be our biggest strength. Our partnerships with trail stewards has allowed us to create and rebuild miles of trails. Our relationships with our area churches have helped us to address every need and meet so many wonderful people. The coordination efforts with our community groups have allowed us to improve every corner of the city, including a park or a playground in every neighborhood. This past year has highlighted the network we have built to get information to you in real time. We have done over 300 live updates on Facebook and local access television to share information about the pandemic. 28 years of live Inside Leominster cable shows, which I'm sure you haven't missed on, and 24/7 responses on Facebook, and the 3 o'clock club, and full service customer service for all departments, both in person and online, have provided unprecedented access to your government. Our Code Red system has assisted not only in just poor weather conditions, but in proving invaluable to get COVID testing and vaccination information out to all. The recovery process for some communities across Massachusetts and the nation will be long and difficult. In Leominster, our base is solid, our finances are strong, and our community commitment to helping one another is beyond reproach. All wheels of government and public and private partnerships continue to turn throughout the pandemic and will continue in the future. For that reason, Leominster continues to thrive and grow despite the challenges of the past 15 months. 28 years of planning followed by action. When everybody needed their local government to perform, and everyone counted on their local government because that's the closest to them, I think we did a good job and we reacted. After the past 15 months, we're a stronger and a closer community. And finally, thank you to every single person in our community. In some way, directly or indirectly, you helped. A neighbor, a friend, whatever it might be. People were so generous and patient with each other and kind. Thank you. It made a huge difference. I want to give a special thank you to our members of our city council. We worked hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder. You may not have seen that. It might not have been as visible to many, but I can just tell you behind the scenes, we worked closely together. And in my 28 years, I can just tell you everything went perfectly and seamlessly. Lots of communication, lots of help and cooperation. I do want to leave my final comments and acknowledge the hard work of Ward Councillor Gail Feckley, who passed away just a few days ago. She was active in Little League in North Leominster, special needs. She was active, obviously, in the city council, was a Fitchburg State graduate with a master's degree, I believe, and went on to work for Fitchburg State. So to all of those families, to Mark, her children, and that extended family, wherever it may be, we send our condolences. And I also want to acknowledge that John Richard, our comptroller, had passed away just a couple of weeks ago, who for 30 years was the guru behind our finances for the city as our comptroller. He also passed away, and we keep his thoughts, his mission, prayers with he and his family. And thank all of you. Leominster is a beautiful place to live and to bring your business, to grow up. We have so many trails and so many assets and amenities in the community, and that's all because of you. Thank you. God bless you, this beautiful city, a beautiful state, and this beautiful country.